Hi, this is Kathy, and somebody emailed me a question saying, what pattern will be if C point is greater than 88.6% retrace? Or is it forming an ABCD pattern? And that they were looking at the SPX day chart. So I have pulled up the SPX day chart, and what I see is I'm assuming that this is what we're looking at as the initial swing point, starting point, and that this has exceeded an 88.6% retracement. So let's just draw our rotation. Okay, so, come on. I wonder why it does that sometimes. Sometimes it'll go right to it. There we go. All right, so this pullback was 74. That needs to be a little bit higher. I know that's anal, right? Okay. This pullback is 85.2%. Yes, that does exceed 88.6%. Well, there's a couple of options, right? The target for this particular harmonic pattern, if we're going to go ahead and say, well, it breached 88.6%, but we're still going to be looking for this 1.618 extension target for the deep crab, right? Okay, so we have this zone here. Let's just do this. All right, so you can also do like an ABCD and see if there's any correlation. Well, there is with the 1.618, okay? Now, typically though, what I do when it exceeds the 88.6% is I will go to the next swing point. Okay, so I'm going to go to this next one, and I like this swing point also because it was the last bounce of the 200 right before we got, I'm sorry, it's not the last. It was a previous bounce of the 200. You have another option of going to the most extreme lows, right? But I'm just going to look and see if there's any correlation with this next one. All right, so it's a 67.4%. That is what I call a 70.7 butterfly, okay? And so the target for that is 1692.69 as well as 1629.99. That's going to correlate with what we had for that other deep crab, remember? Let's just draw this triangle, but change it a little. And we'll erase that. Okay, so remember we were looking at this rotation here. So, I know, anal, right? So as you can see, there is purpose of getting to this region of 6229, call it 1630, okay? So ideally, harmonically, you're going to change the originating swing point, right, if it exceeds 88.6%. Now, let's see if what happens if we go even further out. And I'm going to just change the color. Okay, first things we want to see is, does it have at least 38.2%? Yes, it does. Let's change this color. Okay, so it's like 50 something percent, right? So I'm going to be looking for this 1692.69. If you'll recall, the blue one, remember I said I would look for the 1692.69 and then the 1629.99. So what that tells me is this is going to be a definite scaling point as well, okay? Because we have convergence from three different rotations if you include the ABCD, right? Okay, so first things first though, it's got to take out that 1867. I'm getting off track. The question was what happens if it exceeds 88.6%? Well, I go to a different swing point as the beginning of the triangle point. Okay, hope that helps.